Hello everybody, and welcome back to Certified Collectibles. This is another episode of First Appearances of the Week. This is Wednesday, August 4th, 2021. We'll be giving you all the first appearances hitting your comic shops today. Now first off, I'd like to thank everybody that left feedback on our last video. We started a new format last week, and it seemed like a lot of you guys really like that format. It's a lot easier on us as well, so we're going to go ahead and stick with that new format moving forward. That being said, let's go ahead and get started with our first appearances this week. We have one first appearance for you guys this week, but we have 13 honorable mentions. So 14 titles in all, but only one first appearance. So let's go ahead and get started for the first appearances of the week ending August 6, 2021. From Marvel Comics, Extreme Carnage Lasher #1. This features the first appearance of a new symbiote. This is a Marvel title that has the first appearance of a new character. We always say pick these up, add them to your collection for the cover price. You can't go wrong. Now this is a Venom, Carnage, Spider-Man title, however you want to call it. We do think this is one you definitely want to add. The new Venom movie's coming out soon. Spider-Man franchise, Venom franchise. You know, those are very, very strong for Marvel. Pick this one here up, add it to your collection. Now for the honorable mentions, from Image Comics, The Me You Love in the Dark. This is a 5-issue limited series about an artist who escapes the city to an old house in a small town to find solace and inspiration without realizing that the muse within is not what she expected. This is one we think is going to lend itself very well to TV or film. If this gets picked up, it'll probably blow up. Like we always say, that's a big driver for these indie titles, these small press titles. If they get picked up for TV or film, they're books you want to have in your collection. This is more of a speculative bet, but we do think this one is worth adding. From Scout Comics, Action Tank #1. A young boy wakes up to find himself on the other side of the solar system, and that he has been drafted into the Intergalactic Space Trooper Squadron, charged with operating the most powerful piece of technology in the universe, the Action Tank. Once again, this is a Scout Comic title. Scout Comics has had a few of their titles optioned for TV or film, and we do think this sounds like it will lend itself very well to TV or film. This is a speculative bet. We do think this one is worth adding. If you can't get all the recommendations, put this one on your B-list, but keep an eye on it. We do think this here one has promise. Next up from Dark Horse Comic, The Golem Walks Among Us #1. After being awakened from his long sleep in a shrine in Eastern Europe, Joseph the Golem aids in the fight against the witches that have returned to terrorize humanity. Once again, this could be translated easily to TV or film. If it is, this will be a big driver for this title. If not, it probably won't go anywhere. This one here sounds more like a B-list item. Keep an eye on this one here. If you want to add it for a speculative bet, definitely do so. Otherwise, you can put this one here on your B-list. Next from Dark Horse Comics, Lucky Devil #1. A loser, possessed by a demon, receives an exorcism, but retains all the entity's powers, resulting in a cult forming around him and agents from hell on his trail. This one here does sound like it's going to be picked up for TV or film. This is a very cool sounding story. Like we always say, if this gets picked up, it's worth owning. If it doesn't, it probably won't go anywhere, but the story sounds pretty cool on this one. So we do think this one here has promise. This is, once again, more of a speculative bet, but go ahead and pick this one up if you can. Next up from AWA Upshot, Not All Robots #1. In the year 2056, every human family is assigned a robot whom they're completely dependent upon, and the Walters suspect theirs is trying to kill them. Now this sounds like it could lend itself very well to a TV series or once again a feature film. That would be a big driver for these indie titles. That is pretty much the biggest driver for these indie titles. This is a speculative bet. This might be one you want to put on your B-list. If you could pick it up, do so. But if not, put it on your B-list. Keep an eye on this one. You know, AWA Upshot hasn't really had any in their comics option for TV or film, so this is definitely a speculative item. Now next up from Bad Idea, Passive Aggressive #1. A vigilante known as the Watch is headed to Russia with 8.8 billion reasons to kill every last member of the Russian hacking farm that robbed him, and justice will be measured in broken bones and gallons of blood. Now the Bad Idea titles, because they have limited distribution and limited print runs, they're going to be more scarce on the market than some of the mass-produced titles. That doesn't necessarily mean they'll have a lot more value in the future, but with the limited distribution and the fact that only brick-and-mortar stores can carry them, and you can only buy one per customer, that definitely has potential to drive the value of these up going forward. We do think this one here is worth picking up. Next up from Ablaze Comics, Porcelain #1. A girl lives a simple life until she enters the dollhouse, where she is in danger of becoming the building's prey. Now this is definitely a speculative bet. This is one to put on your B-list. Ablaze Comics hasn't really had any of their comics option for TV or film. This sounds like a cool story that could lend itself well to a TV series, but once again, we haven't heard of any of the other Ablaze titles being optioned for TV or film, so this is definitely a speculative item. Put this on your B-list, but keep an eye on it. Next up from Image Comics, Skybound X #5. Now this is the final issue of the Skybound 10th Anniversary Special. This is also the debut of an unknown new project from Robert Kirkman, the writer of The Walking Dead, and Jason Howard, the writer of Super Dinosaur. We do think this one here is worth adding to your collection. Robert Kirkman stories, anything Robert Kirkman is associated with because of The Walking Dead is definitely worth picking up for the cover price. Add this one here to your collection. Next up from Scout Comics, We Don't Kill Spiders #1. In the early Viking Age, a faithless Norseman detective is summoned to a Scandinavian hamlet where a series of murders have occurred. Now this one here may be worth adding to your collection. It's a Scout comic, that's why we put it in this list. Scout has had some of their comics option for TV or film. This one here may be a B-list item. If you could pick it up, definitely do so. But if not, put it on your B-list. Put it pretty high though, because we do think this one here is worth adding. The story sounds like it lends itself very well to some project in the future, whether it be on television or feature film. But for right now, if you can't get them all, put it on your B-list. Otherwise, pick this one up. Next up from Image Comics, Trover Saves the Universe #1. This is a 5-issue limited series inspired by the video game of the same name, developed by Justin Roiland, the creator of Rick and Morty. This is one we definitely think you should add to your collection. All these video game comics are definitely big in the future. A lot of people don't buy them, so there's typically a low print run and low distribution for these. So going forward, there's typically a high demand. So this is one we definitely think you should add to your collection. Next up from Marvel Comics, Avengers #47. In this issue, She-Hulk becomes the Winter Hulk. Now, we don't really know how important this storyline is going to be, but Marvel is definitely pushing the She-Hulk franchise, so this may be important going forward. We would recommend picking this one up if you can. If you can't, put it on your B-list, but give it some consideration. Next up from Marvel Comics, Spirits of Vengeance Spirit Rider #1. This is the first solo series featuring Spirit Rider Kushala, formerly Demon Rider, a Sorcerer Supreme and Spirit of Vengeance. This is one we definitely think you should pick up. This is the first solo series featuring Spirit Rider. This is a Marvel title. We do think this one here is worth adding to your collection for the cover price. You typically can't go wrong with these premiere titles of new series, so go ahead and add this one here to your collection. And finally for Marvel Comics, Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters Forloom and Zuckuss #1. This is the origin of Forloom and Zuckuss, specifically how they became partners. This is a Marvel title and a Star Wars title. This is an origin of this team up, so we definitely think this one here is worth adding to your collection. Now, we have recommended quite a few titles in today's video. If you can't get them all, put this one on your B-list. Put it pretty high, though. We would recommend adding this here for cover price. You typically can't go wrong with Star Wars titles. So there you have the 1 first appearance and the 13 honorable mentions that we have for you guys this week. Please drop some comments in the comment section below. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. And as always, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you for joining us here at Certified Collectibles, and we'll see you again next time.